woman goes the extra mile to not birth children because she's scared of ruining her physique. Sarah is brushing her hair as her husband, Desmond, shakes a bottle of contraceptive pills in front of her angrily. He's asking her what she's doing with it. Knowing they've been trying so hard to have a baby and how much they have spent in hospitals, she has been the one sabotaging their efforts. Sarah retorts that she never discussed wanting a child and she's not yet ready for one. She moves to leave the room while Desmond tries to stop her but ends up giving up. Desmond calls his friend over the phone to tell him about Sarah's betrayal. He can't believe that all this while Sarah has been the cause of their problem. His friend tries to console him that everything will be fine, but Desmond says Sarah doesn't want to get pregnant because she thinks it will ruin her body and she's not ready for that. Sarah brings Julia into her house to introduce her to Desmond. She says Julia is her friend from way back and she has agreed to be a surrogate mother for their child. Desmond is in shock. Surrogate guinea? She didn't even tell him about it and she has gone to find a surrogate mother. He says he's not interested in it and walks out on them. Julia is surprised that Sarah hasn't spoken to her husband already before bringing her there. Sarah, however, promises her it is a slight issue and he would agree to it. A few months later, Sarah has managed to convince Desmond and Julia is now pregnant and living with them. Julia takes the opportunity to make Sarah's life a living hell. She sends Sarah on errands and commands her to do things for her. Sarah talks to Desmond about Julia's behavior towards her and he can only say she's the one who brought her here and she should be the one to speak with her. When Sarah goes to work, Julia takes her time to prepare Desmond's favorite meal for his breakfast. Desmond is surprised at this gesture of hers and watches Julia as she leans at him and tells him she made this for him. Desmond stops eating immediately and tells her never to bother preparing his meal and try to wear more decent clothes so she wouldn't look like a whore. Sarah is in a meeting with one of her bank's biggest customers, Chief. He's threatening Sarah, who is the account officer, that he will close his account. Sarah pleads with him to reconsider because his account with her bank means a lot to them. Chief replies that he only opened an account with her bank because of her and how she was able to convince him then and he will gladly leave his account if she spends the night with him again. Sarah refuses. That happened in the past and it cannot repeat itself. Chief smiles as he tells her he will give her till sunset tomorrow to make up her mind. Desmond meets with his friend too and tells him about his dilemma at home, especially this morning. He tells his friend that he's very sure that Julia is a home wrecker and Sarah won't see this. His friend advises him to tell his wife about what happened, but Desmond refuses. He's very sure Sarah won't listen to him. Desmond sees Sarah looking worried when he gets home. He asks her if anything is wrong and she tells him a little about her problem with Chief and how it might affect her. She leaves his request out. Desmond assures her that it will be fine and she will find a way around it, but Sarah is cold to his talk. He doesn't know anything about bank work. Just when they're about to sleep, Julia comes running into her room. She says she cannot sleep alone and she has to sleep with her baby daddy. Sarah is pissed with Julia's drama and immediately leaves the room for the rest of them with hopes that Desmond will follow. It is rather shocking the next morning when Sarah accuses Desmond of sleeping with Julia. She's so angry that she spills the tea she's drinking on his shirt. Desmond tells her he won't have her ruin his day and she's the one who brought the situation on them and should be ready to take responsibility for her actions. After Desmond has gone in to change his shirt, Julia comes and mocks Sarah, saying she's so happy to have a little drama in their so-called peaceful marriage. She then joins Desmond in the room, leaving Sarah to cry. Desmond is upset with Julia that she told Sarah he slept with her. Julia says she never did, and if they did, she would never kiss and tell. Julia says Sarah is only jealous that he's giving her more attention and hates her. She also tells him that Sarah is not the good person he thinks she is. Desmond tells her he has had enough and orders her to leave his room. Sarah goes to see Vivian, a mutual friend of her and Julia. Vivian is annoyed that she allowed Julia into her life after what happened to them in the past. After dissecting the matter, Vivian tells Sarah it is best if she tells Julia to leave her house, but Sarah refuses. She says Desmond won't agree to it. So, Vivian promises to talk to Julia on her behalf, but she also advises that it will be best if she comes out clean to her husband. Julia is brewing a storm when Sarah gets back home. She announces that she just got off the phone with Vivian, and if she thinks Vivian begging her will let her ease up on her, it is a lie. She tells her it is okay because when her husband comes home, she's going to tell her husband about their past and she will pack her load and leave. Julia tells her not to forget to mention her friendship with Chief too. A shocker for Sarah. How does she know this? Julia tells Sarah if she dares mention their past to Desmond and she doesn't talk about Chief too, she will tell him herself. Desmond invites his friend over to his house and tells him about the things Julia told about Sarah, that he doesn't know her well and that he shouldn't trust her. His friend asks if he's going to listen to the words of a stranger about his wife and he knows what this stranger wants. He adds Sarah is a good person and he shouldn't think anything of what Julia is saying. It is Desmond's and Sarah's wedding anniversary and Desmond has gotten gifts for Sarah to celebrate. They are busy gushing over themselves as Julia watches them with jealousy. Desmond tells Sarah he got her a dress to wear for dinner date later and some other gifts. Just when Sarah is going to change into the dress, Julia says she wants it with the gifts too, and there Sarah hands it over readily. Desmond is shocked by this. He asks Sarah if Julia has anything against her that she's hiding, but she denies it and says Julia is a pregnant woman and they should just give her her what she wants. Their dinner date doesn't go as planned, and when they both come back home disappointed, Sarah promises to make it up to Desmond later tonight. And that is when Julia comes out of her room and starts complaining about her ankles. Desmond abandons Sarah and starts to massage her ankles, leaving Sarah dejected. Vivian invites Julia to see her on this Sarah issue, and Julia reveals that she won't rest until Desmond has married her. She plans to snatch Desmond just like she did with her when they were younger. Julia starts crying when she remembers her ex-fiancé Frank, who broke up with her 2 days before their wedding because Sarah snitched about her cheating on him. It even made matters worse as Sarah packed in with Frank months after their breakup. So she isn't going to rest now that she has the opportunity to enact her revenge. Julia and Desmond spend some quality time together when Sarah is out. Julia randomly requests that Desmond takes her shopping because all her clothes are now too tight for her. Desmond agrees, and they only get back when he also takes Julia on a date too. Sarah is hurt by this. She confronts Desmond about it at night. Desmond walks out of the room without saying too much and goes into the living room to watch TV. Julia joins Desmond to watch TV, and they end up sleeping off on the couch together. Sarah comes down the next morning to see them sleeping on the couch. Just when she is asking about what is going on, Julia stands up to attack her. Sarah pushes her back on the couch, and there Desmond slaps her for treating a pregnant woman like that. Even Julia is shocked by this reaction, but she plays along and acts like she's hot by the push. Sarah decides that she should get pregnant to save her marriage. She tells Desmond this when she gets home, but he says he doesn't want it. He doesn't want 2 kids at once, and after Julia has given birth, the child will have to get to a certain age before he wants another. Julia sees Sarah's phone ringing, and she realizes it is Chief who is calling her. She quickly sends him her address, telling him to come over to her house. When Chief comes over, Sarah is shocked to see him. She tells him she never sent a text asking him to come over to her house, but Chief insists she did. Desmond comes in to see them arguing, and Chief quickly lies that he had a problem with his account and he didn't want anyone except his bank manager to settle it for him. Desmond happily welcomes him to his house and tells Sarah to fetch a drink for him. Desmond asks if he's the one who wants to close his account at his wife's bank. Chief affirms this, and Desmond pleads with him to consider staying because his wife's promotion might be on the line. Chief laughs and says his wife knows what to do to avoid such situations. Sarah goes to see Chief and warns him off. She's not interested and he can go ahead and close his account. She doesn't care anymore. Chief offers her money and even doubles it, but Sarah stands her ground and she's not interested in him. When she gets home, she goes to see Desmond and begs him on her knees to give her a chance to make things right in their marriage. She tells him again she's ready to have his child and that she will do anything he wants. But Desmond is past that already. He reaffirms his stand that he doesn't want another child until Julia's child has reached a certain age. Sarah is getting so frantic to save her marriage that she sends Vivian to plead with Julia again. Julia too stands on her 10 toes that she won't rest until Desmond is hers and has it alone. Sarah starts crying in her room and starts begging God to kill her because she's done with this struggle for her marriage. Desmond meets her crying and he asks what the problem is. She tells him she wants to die and she's tired of life already. Desmond begs her to stop crying and tells her he will start trying to work more on their marriage. He dries her tears and they make up and they spend time in their room together. Julia is upset when she notices that nobody has come out of their room in a while. She realizes that Desmond and Sarah must be spending time together. So she creates a false alarm and Desmond and Sarah rush out immediately. She keeps saying she feels uncomfortable, and even as Sarah tries to help, she refuses blatantly. Sarah suggests that she takes a walk with Desmond, which Julia accepts immediately. Sarah is home alone when Chief comes to her house again. He has come to plead. He's running mad without her and he must have her one more time. But Sarah takes no caution in warning him off this time. She tells him never to come to her house again, else he would regret. And again, she's done with him. When Sarah comes in from the drama with Chief, she calls Vivian and tells her everything that has happened. Vivian is shocked she could allow Julia to take a walk with her husband, but she says she's past caring at this point and she just wants peace. Vivian is surprised with this, but she promises to help her handle Chief's matter. Sarah receives a call from Desmond that he and Julia are in the hospital and Julia has lost her pregnancy. Sarah quickly rushes to meet them. Julia cries bitterly about the baby, but Desmond is amused by her reaction. He tells her she's going to lose the baby even if she gives birth to the child because it will be transferred to them. But Julia only keeps crying. When Julia is crying, Sarah runs off to the toilet to vomit, and when she comes back, Desmond starts to worry about her and they should probably go to the hospital. Sarah refuses and says she did some tests earlier and that she's only pregnant. Vivian, the mediator, goes to see Chief on behalf of Sarah, but this time as her lawyer. She wants Chief to stay off Sarah, else he will be sued for sexual harassment. Chief tries to act all tough, but when she reminds him of the effects it could have on his business and political ambitions, he sees that he has no option but to back off. Soon, Desmond can't stand the presence of Julia in the house. house, and Sarah has to beg him to allow her to stay till she recovers. They take Julia out shopping, and Julia can only be grateful for Sarah's forgiveness. She kneels to beg her and thanks her profusely for what she is doing for her, and also for her forgiveness. Julia even goes on to tell Vivian how she's shocked by Sarah's attitude towards her. She reveals that Desmond and Sarah are now back to a loving couple state, and she's so happy for them. Sarah surprises Desmond with a leave letter from her office. She tells him she knows she has spent some time away from him and she wants to change that by spending more time with him. Desmond is so happy to hear this, and he says it will help him grow more fond of her.